Hello, fellow friends, fairies, and elven creatures. My name's Lily, and we're going to be painting these adorable enchanted mushroom huts. Here's what you got when you open up your very own art kit. You'll find a photo of what you're painting, a water cup, 5 brushes, a plate to mix colors on, all of your different paint colors, as well as a canvas and an easel. Let's start with the background, so get some yellow paint on your plate as well as some green, and we'll start with some white as well for mixing. Grab the biggest brush that you see in your kit, dip it in your water, and then dab it on the side so that we get some of the excess water out. Let's start mixing together our yellow paint and our white paint. This is going to give us a little bit more of an opaque yellow for the top of our background. And now we're just gonna have fun and go for it. Start going from side to side with your yellow paint, and you'll notice that I'm dipping my brush in quite a bit of water throughout this process. This is gonna help the paint slide along my canvas so it doesn't get stuck in the grooves of the canvas. So this portion of our painting is gonna take a little bit of time, so no rush, just flow with it, have fun. And we're gonna paint our yellow pretty much about halfway down our canvas. So just keep going until you get there. And if you notice some little bristles kind of popping off of your brush onto the canvas, that's totally normal. Just set it down, take the little bristles off, toss them to the side, and keep going. If you paint over those parts that you smeared with your finger when trying to take the bristle off, then you just paint over it, and then it's all good to go. Okay, so I'm gonna speed up the video here for a moment, so feel free to pause if you need some more time, but I will slow it down once we start on the next color. So this is pretty much my favorite part of all the paintings I do, the blending. So we're gonna get our green on our brush, same brush, get a little bit of water, and start again going side to side. We can start by painting below where our yellow ends. And as we go on, you'll notice I start to move my brush upward actually, because this will start to blend the yellow and the green together. So if you notice at this point, there is still a pretty distinguishable line between your yellow and your green. Just keep working the middle of the two colors, going side to side, so that they continue to blend together. And don't forget that water is your friend here. It'll help move the paint across the canvas easier. Feel free to pause the video as much as you'd like along this process. But when you're ready, grab your blue paint and put it on your mixing palette. I still have my biggest brush in my hand since we're still working the background. So try your best to get all your green paint off of your brush so that we can start fresh with our blue. I'm mixing our blue and our white together to get a lighter blue color that'll mix nicely with our green. And same as before, I'm starting from the bottom where it's white on my canvas, and then I'm kind of working my way up to blend into the green. Right here, you're gonna notice I put some of my dark blue there as well, just to add a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more magic to my painting. Having some different values of the same color can be really nice, or you can stay with our white and blue blended together. Up to you. And if there is a line showing up between your blue and your green, just keep working that edge, working that line, using your water. And the more that you start to move your paint along with your brush, the less you're gonna see the lines in the background and the more natural your sky is gonna look. And there you have it. We have our base blend from yellow to green to blue. For this next part, we're gonna have to dry out our background a little bit, so I use this method by picking up my canvas, or you can also step away for a little bit and then come back when it's dry. Now we're gonna start on our main subjects, our mushroom huts. So go ahead and grab your red paint. I'm using the lighter of the two reds, but again, your choice. Get your red on your mixing palette, and we're gonna start with a medium-sized brush. So we have about 3 medium-sized brushes and 1 big one and 1 small one. So any of the medium-sized ones will work. So dip your brush in some water and load it up with some red paint. You'll notice this first mushroom isn't quite in the middle, so we're gonna start towards the middle left. The first shape here is similar to a triangle, except it's kind of rounded on each of the edges of the triangle. So start smaller than you think with this first shape, because it's always easier to make a shape bigger than to start really big and have to make it smaller, especially when we are painting with a darker color than what we already have on the background. And you can keep adjusting the shape and the size until it looks the way that you'd like it to look. And with that in mind, remember that in our fairy realm, all the different fairy huts have different sizes and shapes and colors, and depending on what type of fairy is in there, they can look all sorts of different ways. So your hut might be taller than mine or smaller than mine, but that's perfect because there are going to be different fairies living in them. So for this second fairy hut, I want to make it look a little bit different than the first one that I painted. So this one's going to be a little bit smaller and a little bit wider. So the second triangular shape is going to be a little bit closer to the bottom of my canvas. If you notice that the red isn't as thick or as opaque as you would like, don't worry, because once it dries, we're actually going to do a second layer of red, which is going to brighten it up and make it look a lot more like our photo that we have. Now let's continue with the rest of our fairy hut, where our doors and our windows are. The top of the shape that I'm painting is going to be a little bit smaller or narrower than the bottom of our base. The bottom of my hut is pretty much the same width or size as our roof of our mushroom hut. Now feel free to fill in the rest of the base with your red, and don't be afraid to keep dipping your brush in water when the paint starts to feel a little bit sticky. And when you're ready, move on to your second mushroom hut. I want to make this shape a little different than the first one, just to add some variety. I'm thinking of making this one out of 2 half circles, just to give it a little bit of a different personality. It's closer to the ground, it makes it feel a little bit more bouncy, or like a different type of fairy will be living in here. But feel free to adjust the shape to whatever kind of shape you'd like, and then fill it in with your beautiful red. Now get your dark brown color, put it on your mixing palette, and grab your tiniest brush. We're going to outline the bottom of our mushrooms now to give a little bit of depth. And you'll notice I don't exactly draw straight across, I kind of give a little bit of a curve to my line. You can even make the edges of the brown look like they're wrapping around the back of your mushroom. Go ahead and do the same thing to the other side when you're ready. You can even start to outline the base of our mushroom homes, as well as the roof of our mushroom homes, just a little bit to add a little bit of value and dimension to our painting. This is where you can start to add your second coat of red, if it's dry by now, to make it really pop. Let's start adding our grass, so dipping our tiny brush in our green paint Now we're just going to create some more fluid strokes, starting from the bottom of our canvas and then moving up towards not quite the top of our canvas, but a little above halfway. Since our mushroom huts and since fairies are so small, we want to make sure our grass is pretty tall to give it that effect. Mix together your blue and your red to get a sweet purple, and add a little bit of white in there as well to make it a little lighter. You'll notice the harder you press down on your brush, the bigger the splotches are going to be, and the lighter, the smaller the splotches are going to be. So start light with your pressure, and you can always get a little bit heavier as you go on. Let's add some detail by flipping our tiny brush over and dipping it in some white paint. This is going to make it so that we can start to add some highlights onto our lavender. Let's get our designs on our mushrooms with circles and semicircles, and feel free to make as many or as little as you want. You can vary them in size and have some come off of the mushroom and some in the middle, so just have fun with it. Go ahead and mix your yellow and white together, and we're going to add a window here on our first hut. It's going to have a rounded top, and then the bottom is connected by a straight line. The window on the other hut is going to be a little square, so go ahead and move on to that when you're ready. With your same brush, go ahead and get all that paint off of it and dip your brush in some brown. Make a nice long semicircle for this door here and do the same on the other side. So we're moving on to our details. Let's outline our windows with some dark brown. I like to make this cute little crisscross design in the middle of my window. Now with your yellow paint, let's add some magic. Make sure there's no more color on your tiny brush, so it's good as new. And start to add some yellow paint to make it look like it's kind of sparkling around or there are fairies flying around. Flip your brush over and let's add some more white dots in the center of those yellow circles. Also, while we're at it, let's add 2 little white dots for our doorknobs as well. And there you have it, our beautiful new painting of 2 fairy huts. Thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you back soon for some of our later videos.